back.
Okay, recording is started.
Can you still hear me, Amy?
Yep.
All right, something's all screwed up with the audio on my end, but
You want to try to go out and come back in, Bob?
I did.
Okay.
Are you on two different devices, Bob?
Whenever you're ready, Marge.
Okay. It's 7:32, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. As Chair of the Conservation Commission, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this Conservation Commission is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. One, we are utilizing the Zoom webinar platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the commission have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 1-312-626-6799. And when prompted, enter the event ID 852-0255-4098. And then the password 169603. You may also participate on the web by going to www.zoom.us and entering the same event ID and password information. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting via the telephone dial-in information I just provided. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please call 603-247-7301 or email akizak, AKIZAK, @londonderrynh.org. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We can start with roll call attendance. When each member responds, please state whether or not you're alone. Jean Harrington.
Here and alone.
Deb Levens.
Present and alone.
Bob Maxwell. I know he's working on his audio. Mike Noon.
Can you hear me?
Mike Byerly.
Here and alone.
Susan Malowin.
Here and alone.
Mike Speltz.
Here and alone.
Jocelyn Demas.
And alone.
And George has a flight that was delayed, so he's going to miss the meeting, but Marge Bedoy here and alone. So we can get started, I guess, with the DRC first.
Brian's coming in. Brian, you should be able to unmute yourself and share your video.
Here I am. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All good.
You ready for me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm here on behalf of Apple Tree Mall. They've filed with the Planning Design Review Committee to add or to continue to maintain the outdoor seating for a few of the businesses at Apple Tree Mall. I don't know if you're aware or not, but the governor, through executive order last season, had granted restaurants across the state opportunity to use outdoor seating as just a way to try to keep businesses viable without during the pandemic. And some of the businesses at Apple Tree Mall found that to be very helpful. And so the property owner is seeking to make that a permanent feature of the property, at least the opportunity for the restaurants to have outdoor seating. I do have a drawing of the site. Amy, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you are,
Okay.
or you should be able to.
Let's see. Might have to close some windows here. There it is. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Appreciate your patience. So Orchard View Drive is down the bottom. I'm sure everybody's familiar with Apple Tree Mall. And the areas that are currently being used for outdoor seating, I'm sure some of you have probably even used these, is Lucasciano's, which is Italian right here. They constructed an outdoor deck. It's probably the nicest of the outdoor seating at the mall. And then Berry's wants a couple chairs, and Troy's Kitchen wants a couple chairs. So there's 3 over in this area next to Shaw's. And then down this corner with Game Changers, they had outdoor seating. They'd like to maintain it as well, as one of these vacant units has a potential to be a new restaurant. So they also want outdoor seating for those. And there's one other part of this application that went into planning, and it has to do with this landscape island right here. So there's a hydrant in this corner, and it ends up getting hit when trucks are making this turning movement. So it's something that's been on the owner's radar since he acquired the property a few years ago, and it's something he wants to fix. So we're gonna enlarge that landscape island and move the fire hydrant so it doesn't get struck by truck movement. So from a drainage standpoint, we're adding impervious area. We're not interrupting the flow. The catch basin low point is here. So it really doesn't affect the drainage, except that obviously we're removing some pavement. The drawings that we submitted to the town did have enlargements. Again, this is Lucascio's with the outdoor deck and Coffee Berries, outdoor seating area, and then Troy's Kitchen. We're maintaining a pretty decent sidewalk area for pedestrians to pass on. Here it's almost 14 feet. And then down at the corner where Game Changer Sport Bar is, it is narrower, but it is the only use in that area. So if you've been to Game Changers, the chairs are already there now. So the idea is just to maintain it. And then this is that landscape island, kind of an enlargement. We're gonna shift the hydrant to the top of the island and then kind of create a sweep so that the vehicles can move through the site. And that is the sum total of the changes for Apple Tree Mall. I am happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Well, my only comment is I'm happy to see the creativity involved in making this a better situation for our small businesses.
Yeah, they got a taste of the outdoor dining with the governor's order, which is still active. And the planner has informed me that it may carry through the summer as well, the governor's executive order. But we're thinking ahead, and it's something that they want to maintain on the property.
In that landscape island change, is there going to be any planting?
I didn't specify it. I think it's just bark mulch now, but we can certainly add that now that it's a little bit larger. Could probably fit a tree in there. Be happy to add that.
They always do landscaping down by the exit, you know, and the seasonals in the spring is one thing, and then they put chrysanthemums in and so forth. Wouldn't it be easy enough to just maintain that sort of thing? That'd be low, and you wouldn't have any sight problems or anything.
Yeah, we can add plantings to the island.
Any other comments? Seems pretty straightforward. All right, seems pretty simple.
Give you an easy one.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Anything else for Brian?
All good.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
All right, thank you, Amy.
So Marge, our one comment will be add landscaping to the landscaped island, right?
Right, add plantings to the island is what I wrote. So, and I'll specify in front of game changer. Okay. Old business, Moose Hill update. Mike Malaguti, you want to fill us in?
Hey, everybody. So I wanted to address the commission tonight on some discussions we've been having with Kyle Christensen, who's the new principal behind Moose Hill Orchards. And there's been a couple of different meetings and interactions that we've had with him. The first being at the end of April involving me, John Farrell, and Jim Butler. And that was really kind of an introductory meeting. But we did get down into some topics of mutual interest, specifically dogs and parking. And I'll elaborate on those in a minute. We had another meeting, and actually we sort of coming out of that meeting suggested that really he would want to meet members of the Conservation Commission. And on both occasions, we did encourage him to come to a Conservation Commission meeting, come to a council meeting. I think he's receptive to that. But it's clear to me he's got a heck of a lot going on right now at the farm in terms of planting and what have you. So that hasn't materialized just yet. But in our second meeting, which involved me, Kevin Smith, Marge was there, Deb was there, and Mike Speltz was there as well. I had committed to him that I would put in front of the commission his requests and to try to ascertain the commission's feeling on those requests. And they really are two major areas. So the discussion around dogs really concerned some issues that he's seen during his time at the farm. And it should be noted that he's been, he told us, there for about a year. It's not entirely clear in what capacity, but it seems like he's been there on a pretty consistent basis, meeting people, learning how the operation runs, et cetera. And one area of concern is dogs. And specifically, he mentioned that there is new USDA guidance that really frowns upon dogs in agricultural areas, running around in the orchard. Particularly dog waste. He indicated that unfortunately folks are not picking up after their dogs and is concerned that maybe he's going to get in trouble with the USDA if they should show up and do an inspection. Area number two is really what folks are doing with their dogs. And it sounds like there's some concerns about off-leash dogs and just sort of dogs running everywhere and causing a mess. Number two was that he mentioned was parking, and he mentioned a couple of different areas. I think one on Adams Road, but you can see this certainly in the center of town as well. That people do tend to kind of just pull in wherever is convenient and then access the orchards. So we'd like to regulate that. It's not exactly clear what the specifics of the proposal is, but he did ask me to put those couple of items in front of the commission. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything there, Marge, in terms of his requests or sort of where he's coming from.
Those were the two big ones. And I know Mike Speltz had suggested that the Conservation Commission use our article in the Londonderry Times to put out a general notice to people that all orchards need to comply with the no dogs. So it doesn't make it look like the new owner is suddenly being a hard nose about things. So I don't know if you got anywhere with that, Mike Speltz.
Other than signing up to do the work, no. But I will.
So one thing I'll note is that I think that obviously there are a number of different tracks, but the conservation easements that the town has on the various tracks are for the most part very similar, if not identical, and they all guarantee public access onto the land, but at reasonable times and with reasonable restrictions, so as not to interfere with the agricultural operations. So, I think a lot of people think it's sort of I've observed that people just think that this is public land, this is town land. It's not. There's a guaranteed right of public access, but the fee interest does remain with the farm, and certainly he is entitled to impose reasonable restrictions on these kinds of things.
Yeah, he also mentioned there was a problem with horses riding through the orchards as well, and interfering with people working in the orchard.
That's right. The other thing and you cut out there a bit, Marge. I'm not sure if it was my end or your end, but the other thing he mentioned was really a safety issue, particularly around one of the barns where there's a lot of heavy equipment and people traipsing in through the equipment and climbing on the equipment. He's worried that he's going to run it over. So that certainly seems reasonable to me.
Yes. And he emphasized that, one of his primary objectives is safety and making sure that they're observing all the OSHA rules for the safety of the farm workers as well as the town residents.
So
wouldn't the town regulations on dogs address most of his concerns? Like, I'm not sure what else would need to be done there, right? You have to have your dog under control or on a leash. I'm sure there's ordinances that if you let your dog crap on somewhere, it's littering or something, but so what?
Well, according to USDA, per Kyle, you're not even supposed to have dogs at all in the orchard. They're growing food, dogs and food shouldn't commingle.
Okay.
Wasn't he wondering a bit about putting some signs up too? And we suggested gentle signs, gentle.
Right.
But I don't.
Exactly. So I think that's exactly right. I mean, we sort of suggested to him that let's go go slow. Let's be transparent about what you're doing. Work with the town. I think the town's certainly willing to work with you. To Mike's point, yeah, I mean, there are state laws, there are town ordinances that can be enforced. We did suggest that perhaps the conservation ranger could assist in some of these violations, identifying some of these violations and enforcing them. I think that he really is looking to just bring a bit of structure, it sounds like, that maybe hasn't been present to date.
Right. Well, I'm sure we can, as a commission, support him with that.
Yeah, we should keep in mind that really the only thing that the conservation, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the only thing that in terms of public access, the only thing is pedestrian public access. So you have no right to bring your car on his private property. You have no right to bring your dog or your horse. You just can bring yourself. And if he stays, if he wants to control to enforce that, that's his right.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only thing I don't disagree with anything Mike you're saying. The only thing I will note is that how to put it, I guess delicately, there's a lack of clarity in some of these conservation restrictions. I think, certainly in the late 90s and early 2000s, conservation easements were not as prevalent as they are today. And I think we've learned a lot in that intervening time period. But there are, some gaps and some things that ideally would be spelled out that really are not exactly the way I would write them, or I think I would write them these today.
So there's a parking area near the kiosk for the Adams Pond Trail, which the previous owner was okay with people parking there because he wasn't growing anything. But maybe we want to confirm if that still will be okay, and that way we can direct people to park there versus anywhere on the property. That might help. But if they can't park anywhere, then that's a slightly different message. But if he's concerned about people parking all over the place, assuming the last parking area was okay, we could get signage or, put something in an article in the paper about where to park. Those things might help.
What about parking on rights of way, though? It's not, appears to be, to me, I would been thinking it's not really done much in Londonderry. And the cars can't really park in the road because there's too much,
Right.
This just the size, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I think what you'll find is that, there's a number of different stopping standing laws that potentially could apply. But I think what you'll find with Londonderry PD is that unless the vehicle is a traffic hazard or it's been there for an unreasonable period of time, the PD, this PD at least, is not likely to take a hard stance on that.
Is this something that the commission is responsible for taking care of, or would this be his responsibility?
So to the extent that he wants to post signs and impose restrictions, it's really his responsibility, subject to what I would characterize as our ability to object if we think that he's doing something that's inconsistent with the conservation restrictions.
And if I recall, he did say that he wasn't trying to completely forbid cars on his properties. He just wanted to control where they park. So maybe, ropes, signage, posts, but
Right.
it's not that he wants to just completely close off parking. He just wants to be able to control it, which he has every right to do.
Yeah,
Well, maybe-
certainly. We didn't get the vibe, you know, I'm speaking for myself. I certainly didn't get the vibe that he's looking to do anything, you know, as drastic as closing sections and telling people they can't come in.
Right, and maybe just merely roping off and say, you know, please park between signs. And when that area is full, you gotta go somewhere else. Because I think that's what's
This
happening
is,
down by Adams
this is
Pond.
Bob. Is my audio working yet?
It
Yeah,
is. Yes.
Okay. The parking area near Adams Pond that Mike talked about, the max used for public parking during U-Pick season. When it was mud season, they put up ropes and said, please don't park here, it's mud season. I never saw that not being honored. I have seen where Yahoos went out and pickup trucks in the middle of the night and tore it up a little bit, but it was honored. Not so much in the last year and a half, but for the prior 5 years, I was probably in max 1 to 2 hours a day, almost every day. I've never seen a horse. I've never seen signs of a horse. Doesn't mean they weren't there, but it's extraordinarily rare. The vast majority of the dogs were in the periphery of the apple orchards or on Adams Pond Trail and places like that. So I'm having some problem with what he's identifying as problems. I totally agree. It's his call. I don't think we should in any way get in the way of it, but I also don't think we should be enforcing any of it.
yeah, he mentioned
He should
that,
mark where he doesn't want people to park. He should be clear on what his position is with dogs, and it sounds like he doesn't like them. That's going to be his issue to deal with the town, because I think the public won't be thrilled, but okay.
because he mentioned that it was a problem mowing in the orchard because the dog poo goes flying all around when he mows.
Okay. In 5+ years of daily walking through the orchards, I didn't see it. Is there the occasional spot of dog poop in the middle of a row? Yeah. Is there a lot of it? No. Are people
I'm
not
not
great
sure
about picking it
which-
up? Yeah.
I'm not sure which part of the orchard either.
I mean, I think that's.
I've
kind
been
of
in all the orchards.
right. He's saying that the USDA has restrictions against having dogs in an orchard. So I
Yeah.
feel like that.
Yeah. So I'm
kind of
not
but I
objecting to it.
agree that we shouldn't be enforcing anything. I don't feel like that's our place.
Yeah, but just let's help him get the word out so that he doesn't look like the Scrooge.
I don't really feel like
Oh.
that's
Feel
our
that's our place.
responsibility.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, if that's the rules he wants to lay out there, like, fine, go ahead, get the word out, but I'm not like, I don't want to have us be seen as condoning that. I mean, if people, you know, people have been pretty, I don't doubt that some of the things he's saying are happening. I think it's a matter of the scale of it, you know, on the bounce. I don't think that there's more deer poop in the Max Orchard that I see than dog poop. So I'm not comfortable with us publicly, you know, trying to support it. I guess if he wants to have these rules on his orchard, he should stand up and say, these are the rules of my orchard. And, you know, I don't want to stand next to him when he says that.
well, apparently those are the rules in all the other orchards. That you can't go to, you know, Sunnycrest and with your dog in the orchard.
Yeah, it's been the rule on all the orchards for as long.
Well, if I write this article for Conservation Matters, then I'll circulate it to the commission, and then you can tell me whether I've sort of hit the right tone. Does that sound fair?
Sounds very fair, and thank you for doing it.
Ditto.
And if you can pull out some other things that are unrelated to dogs, just as reminders, you know, and I was just going to tell Mike Malaguti, I bet you there are people out there that have no idea what's in the easements and what was allowed 25 years ago and what's allowed in current easements either, how it's worded now. I guarantee you, most of the people don't know who's got what right.
Right, and their classic answer is, but I've always done it that way.
And really, when I hear people talk about, you know, what the town's interest is, you know, what I hear most often is people saying that the town holds the development rights. Well, I think that's probably true, but I also don't think it captures really the extent of the town's interests and really what these documents are targeted at.
Well, and on the Facebook buzz, when people were talking about the town holding the development rights, they were interpreting it to mean that if the town chooses to develop the land, they can. They're the only ones that can. So they're way off base.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we could try, but I think we'd be hearing pretty quickly from the Attorney General.
Something else to keep in mind is that we do share, I think, an interest with the owner of Moose Hill Orchards and all our orchards to see those businesses succeed. We don't want them to look like the old orchard on Gilcrest Road. And there's nothing in the easements that would prevent that. So we have an interest in keeping them with good graces between them and USDA and not abusing the properties, in, you know, drawing people into town to spend their money with the orchards and at the restaurants and everything else. So yes, we have an interest in the success of those orchards.
Yeah, because USDA could close them down.
Yeah, I would say we have an interest in all of them, and what I want to make sure we don't do is scare people out with their dogs out of all of the orchards, and for that matter, every conservation property we have in town that has easements on it. To Mike's point, like, dogs are not permitted in there necessarily, right? So I just want to make sure we don't send a broad message out there that doesn't typically applies to one place and get people starting to ask the other orchard owners, how come I can't have my dogs in your orchard? I've always done this, right? And dragging them into it. And they're probably perfectly fine with what's going on today. So I guess, you know, to your point, Mike, it's all in kind of the wording of it. So we can take a look at that.
All right. Mike Malaguti, did you have anything else about?
No, the only other thing I'll mention is that we are well underway in terms of drafting a lease for the 114 Pillsbury parcel that's being acquired. Things are right on track as far as closing on that on July 2nd. And prior to that date, I'll be presenting to you a proposal for a document whereby Moose Hill will lease that parcel and continue to maintain it on the town's behalf, essentially. And so that should be in front of you for your next meeting.
You want to mention anything about the funky stuff going on where the green team put the butterfly garden?
I think maybe the only thing I'll say about that is that, you know, I alluded earlier to a lack of clarity in some of the drafting, and it's been, you know, in connection with the transfer of the property, it was a little difficult to try to decipher exactly the ownership structure down there in front of the Moose Hill School. And, you know, like I said, I think it's not quite as clear as everybody would like. maybe I'll just leave it at that.
Mike, I thought we did sort of some kind of a quit claim or some kind of a rewriting of it. Is it possible that we want to do it again and really make it clear this time? Because we've got so many pieces of the chessboard.
So that's one potential solution to clean everything up a little bit. I do think that where you have conservation easements on that property going way back. Any substantial changes are going to need to go in front of the charitable trust unit, and that can be a long process, and it may be that it isn't worth it in the long run. So we are doing additional work to try to figure out what exactly is going on down there. There's just some very strange documents that were exchanged and recorded. Certainly the town has a conservation easement over that parcel, and it's an easement that's similar to the others.
All right. Anybody else have anything else they wanted to mention about Moose Hill?
Yes, a few weeks ago, I circulated a draft of the baseline documentation report and asked that everybody comment on it. I did get comments from Mike Barley and Bob Maxwell, and I incorporated those. There was one, Bob caught a typo, and Mike mentioned some additional wildlife sign that he had observed on the property. So, but if there's anything else, tonight would be the night to bring it up, because I would like to finalize that and get it turned into DES for approval.
Yeah, I didn't have any.
When did you send that, Mike?
When did I send it?
Yes.
You would have gotten it from Amy on a Dropbox link, 3-4 weeks
Month
ago?
It was before our last meeting that we had a month ago. I can resend it to you, Susan, if you'd like.
Yes, if you could, Amy, thank you. I think the other comments you received are fine, so certainly don't wait for me. I'm sure there was a very thorough review. I just, I'm not sure I received that, so I'll just take a quick look at it, but don't wait for me. I probably don't have any comments.
Does anyone else need me to resend it to them?
Can you resend it to me too, Amy? Because I don't remember seeing it.
Okay.
I'll let you know if I need it. I feel like
Okay.
it was there.
But I agree with
Well, we have-
Susan. Go ahead and send it off, Mike. Yeah.
You have it, Mike, to send it, or do you want me to?
I've got to make those changes, and then I have to figure out a way to Dropbox it to DES. So I might need your help on that, but we can do that offline.
That's fine. Yeah, just let me know if you need help. I can help you take care of it.
Thanks.
While we have Mike Malaguti on the line, was there an email regarding those wells that were on the conservation property? I think that was under rediscussion. The notes from the previous meeting indicated that we wanted to keep the well, but subsequent information meant that we would have to maintain it along with testing and maybe even like certification. So, what was the outcome of the email that was sent?
So it's been a while since I've looked at that topic or talked it over with Glenn April, but my memory of that is that Penachuk had agreed to remove those. It's actually 2 wells, it sounds like, from that parcel. And to do so, I think they gave a time frame. It wasn't like next week, but it also wasn't next year. I can't remember exactly what the time frame was.
Yeah, and sorry, Mike, let me clarify. I think the commission was supposed to reconsider. So the last thing in the notes was that we wanted to keep the well, but there was an email suggesting that we reconsider that, but I don't know what the outcome of.
Oh,
So,
everybody was more or less okay with the wells being removed based on the fact that it really was a liability for us to keep them there. And I know Pennachuck felt strongly about they really should be removed.
Yeah, and
yeah,
Glenn-
and sorry,
and
and so
Glenn-
that was my point, is I wanted to officially get back to Mike with a response. The last we communicated with Mike was that we wanted to keep them, and then found out that that would be a burden, so. Thank you.
So we're not going to keep them.
No,
Is
Which-
where,
I believe I communicated that to Mike Malaguti and Glenn.
I think it trickled through, because I did have a recollection that had been reconsidered, granted.
Yeah, so I'm tracking that in the encroachment log, so yeah, I just never got copied on anything. So now that I know, I'll update the log with that.
I think we discussed it in a meeting that you weren't at, Mike, and verbally closed on that.
No, the last meeting, I'm looking at the notes from the last meeting, and that was the vote to keep the well, and I think the meeting after that was canceled.
Right.
So it was an
So
email.
that was my bad for not putting you in the loop.
It is ironic that Pennachuck let that thing sit there for 10 years, and now they suddenly feel this urgent need to do something about it. But
Well, I think we brought it to their attention. I don't believe they realized that they were there because they said it was an error, that those should have been removed.
right.
So I think it puts a liability on them for leaving them there as well. Anything else while we have Mike here? All right, we can move on to events. We had mentioned planning a hike around our new Moose Hill property. When are we supposed to officially close on that? August?
July 2.
Oh, okay. We can plan something for shortly after that.
Based on the earlier conversation about concerns, is that something we should get cleared by the new owner?
The part we're talking about, he doesn't own.
Okay. Oh, just the property on top of Pillsbury? Okay, right.
Yeah, and I think our plan was to more or less go around the outside where there would be a trail.
Yep.
Because the other thing is, do we want to do a Scobie Pond kayak paddle day?
How
Okay.
was the turnout last year?
It was very good. We had a lot, well, actually, we didn't do it last year because of COVID.
Oh, right, that's right, that's right.
But the year
2 years ago.
before was very good. And it was good because people came that said, oh, I never knew this was here. And, and that was our whole point in doing it.
Well, I'm not a boat or a water person, but it seems to me that it's a good opportunity to get
Yeah, I think it is.
info out, as it were.
And we've timed it in the past, so it's right when the blueberries are ripe along the shore. So people bring their Ziploc bags and pick blueberries, right, Deb?
Right. That'd be me.
So,
I mean, I'm happy to support it and help someone that wants to do it that day. It's not a
yeah,
passion point, but I don't mind helping out.
yeah, if we just pick a date, we can, I mean, I usually can bring a couple kayaks myself.
When are you thinking?
I don't know, I would have to look back on our calendar to see when we've done it in the past, because it was basically perfect timing. We've had good days.
I think it was around the middle of August, out of an abundance of caution, and, thinking about lead time for publicity, if we want to do an event at the Orchard, I feel a lot more comfortable scheduling that, knowing that we really are going to close. I mean, I've been in the business long enough to know that, stuff happens.
Yeah.
So, and if you push it off too far, then you might bump up against the kayak activities.
Well,
So-
what if we coordinate it somehow with Old Home Days?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, good idea.
And do we want to also have a booth at Old Home Days? Deb?
I was gonna say to do that at Old Home Day, but recently I had gone to the a thing that the Chester Conservation Commission did, and it was really, really great, and it was very well attended. It was at night over near Wazen Pond.
Mhm.
And the state has a astrological group that come out for free, and they bring these telescopes that are like this big. And because there's not a lot of light there, and I just thought this would be such a cool event. And they tell people like, oh, this is a crab
Nebula.
cluster, and there's this and that. And it was an educational, and I'm sorry about the motorcycles. I can't help it. My windows are even closed. It's terrible here. So I apologize for the noise. But I was just thinking you guys might want, now maybe not for this year, but for next year, over at the Musquash area where it's pretty dark, you could do something like that. I just think the kids would, get a hoot out of it. And anytime you can get kids involved, and into astronomy and outdoors, it's always fun.
Yeah, I remember when my kids were young, they came to North School and did an event.
If you could time it with like a meteor shower, that would be amazing.
That's
I'm telling
first
you,
week
you've never
of
seen
August.
telescopes this big. They're like, that was all. I don't want to wreck your meeting, but I just food
It's a
for
good
thought,
idea.
something
I
different.
love it.
The other idea is Hampstead Conservation couples with the art group, and they walk into their field that they owned up behind the tennis courts in Hampstead, and they do a live art sort of thing, and people set up their easels and they do all these paintings inside the conservation area of different things, and one of the conservation person will explain to you, oh, this is this tree, this is this plant. And so then the people tape it, and they donate the photos or the artwork to conservation to be auctioned off as a fundraiser. It was just really a nice, different thing to do. And I do love the canoe thing. Now you told everybody my secret. My blueberries, I could get it tonight.
Yeah. Well, I can look up the date when we've had it in the past, and I'll send that out in an email.
If I can't attend, my schedule's pretty crazy. I do have 2 single kayaks and 1 tandem that.
Okay. All right, so we want to think about the MAC property hike.
I like the idea of putting it with Old Home Days because everybody's gonna be right there.
Yeah, it seems pretty easy.
Done. That's around August 10th.
Is it?
Yeah, I was just looking at the Old Home Day schedule. I don't know what this
You say maybe the after the parade.
It's the third Saturday of August, Old Home Day. I don't know the date, but that's when it is. You could do that art thing there if you wanted to. The little kids to come and paint.
So the third Saturday in August is the 21st.
that Old Home Days? The third?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And the Perseid media showers are August 11th and 12th, but so
Ah.
it's the week before.
Missed it. But not much.
That's
Any
when it
other-
would be at its peak. I feel like the Perseid goes for a couple weeks, doesn't it?
Not really,
It said 2 days.
not really.
I think there's another one not as bright in that time frame. But
All right, does anybody else have anything for old business?
I was just
We
gonna ask-
voted a meeting or two ago about getting a replacement camera. Most of the commission doesn't know. I'm trying to do that, but they're back ordered. Supposedly they'll have more in June.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask about two items. So Mike, Speltz, you mentioned the orchard up on Gilchrist Road. Was there any more progress on whatever the next round of testing that needed to be done for that?
Yes, that's not proceeding at a blistering pace, but you might recall, we were waiting on our contractor to deliver a work plan to DES, and that has happened. So now we are waiting for DES to approve that work plan. And once that is approved, then the work could actually start. So that's where we're at. And it's probably time for me to bug Steve once again. But I mean, we don't have a lot of control now because it's DES.
Right.
But we could still shake a leg.
Yeah.
Yep. And the other thing, Susan, I didn't know if you heard from anybody at the state regarding that mitigation property on South Road. I know they were also slowing things down, but I didn't know if they got back to you or if you reached out to them about them.
I haven't heard anything. And Mike Speltz, I don't know if you have. I think you may have also been on the email chain, but no one has replied to me.
No.
Well, they kind of warned us in advance that it was going to take a long time.
Yeah, COVID probably has not helped our cause either.
Yeah. Well, I reached out to the person that wrote the last report, so I assume that they're not gonna do any more monitoring. I had seen some cars there going down that road that currently exists anyway over the weekend, so I had offered to just check that out. It's not really town property, so I don't know that we would ask Glenn to do that, but anyway, when I spoke with him, he thought that the decision had already been made not to transfer the property.
Oh,
But he wasn't 100% sure, so he was gonna check into that. But once I take a look at the property and I get back to him, I can ask him if he has any more information or details on that. But he thought perhaps they had already decided not to transfer it.
okay.
So if you have a name or a contact, you might want to just follow up with them, and I'll ask this person again.
And Mike, when was that you saw someone there? Was this very recently or a little while ago? Or like when?
It's probably 3 weeks. Yeah. So if you drive by, oddly enough, along the fence, which is not state property, they've like left a road there. I have no idea why, but even now it's pretty well graded, and there's a road that goes directly to the back. So I just happened to drive down the road about 3 weeks ago, and not one but two cars at the same time were headed down there. So I don't know if it's a party, maybe they're just fishing, could be dumping things. That's happened in the past, but I had offered to take a look at it for them because they won't be monitoring the property anymore, is my understanding. That final report was it. So that might give them cause to transfer it if they find out that there's issues and, they're not planning to monitor it. We could do that if it's part of the town property. So anyway, might work to our benefit, but I'll let you know what I find once I take a hike over there.
All right, thanks. Any other old business? New business, did you guys, I sent out a copy of a letter I received, an email that I received from somebody who wants to do research in the Musquash and Kendall Pond, tracking fur-bearing animals by camera. Do we have any issues with him doing that? It's a doctorate candidate from UNH.
Yeah, not an issue. I was just going to ask Bob, actually, if he, I know he said he had some sort of cable lock, but it just seemed like, I thought the camera could still be stolen. He's putting it at 4 feet high, I think he said. Bob has them at 8 or 10 feet, and we've still had, I believe, one stolen. So I just didn't know your thoughts on that, Bob. I don't have an issue with the guy doing the work, but I think he might find both of his cameras are gone by the time he comes back.
Yeah, he could just put a sign there explaining what it is and hope the goodness of people's hearts will leave it alone, or he could put a cable on it.
Yeah, that was my first thought when I read the whole thing. Was a good project, but he has to be aware. He should be told that we've had some issues and we've lost camera, and you know it's a big investment for him. So he's gonna have to think that through.
Aren't most of our cameras on the trails though? I feel like his are probably going to be more hidden than ours are.
That would be helpful
Possibly.
for him.
Yeah, if he puts them where they're not visible from the trail, I don't think he'd have much trouble.
Good.
Oh,
Jocelyn's exactly right. The cameras are going to be set up on a transect, meaning a straight line that, you know, so that statistically they get useful data. So it'll just be a line of cameras 300 meters apart. And so you can imagine most of it's going to be in the pucker brush and not near a trail. But I would like to suggest when we respond to a Marge that we ask that whatever data or reports are developed as a result of this project, that be shared with the Conservation Commission. It might be useful at some future time in a grant application or some other publicity to have a sort of scientifically established count of who's running around in the woods out there.
yeah, that would
Well,
be.
if it's for his PhD program, he'll have to have it published, and you know it should be public access to it eventually. But certainly we would say it to begin with. But he's not going to put it. I hope he's not going to just put it on the shelf.
Yeah, I just don't want to go chasing after it. That's all.
Right. It's inevitable and probably sooner rather than later that the governor is going to end his emergency order allowing us to meet by Zoom. So I would anticipate us needing to go back to in-person meetings in the very near future. Any opinions, thoughts, or comments? Are we all okay with it? And we,
So, you know, we've reserved Moose Hill Conference Room for the rest of the year and moving forward for the Conservation Commission. So there is lots more room to spread out than there is in Sunnycrest.
That's good. And
Yeah,
anyway, why do we get
most
vaccinated
people-
if we're not going to be able to start getting back to real life?
Yeah. So I assume most people are vaccinated that want to be vaccinated, so that's not a situation where you're awaiting a vaccine but you can't get it, so we should be good to proceed.
which, I mean, we're fine to stay on Zoom until we can't.
I'm okay with getting together again.
Okay.
I am too. I have to keep you all on mute because of all the crazy here.
So we're ready anytime you guys are to go back in. So you just let me know, Marge, when you're ready to be back in person.
Do
And
we wanna,
Hmm?
do we wanna just go back into in-person meetings or wait until we have to?
We can vote on it or whatever you like.
Yeah.
Good.
You wanna
Schedule it for June.
go back to in-person starting in June?
Yes,
Yes,
there's one yes.
I'm okay with it.
Fine with me.
I have no
Yes.
objection.
Okay,
All right,
it's a voter consensus.
I think a
So
consensus
starting June 8th, we'll be back in person.
sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Any other business?
Amy, what is the current rule in town hall right now as far as mask is concerned?
The current rule is if you are vaccinated, you are not required to wear a mask. If you are not vaccinated, we ask that you kindly continue to wear a mask, but it is not required. So that's the current rule.
Thank you.
The only other thing I have is the minutes approved from April 27th.
I move to accept the minutes as written.
Seconded.
I'll give it to Gene.
Okay. All in favor, Jean Harrington,
Yes.
Deb Levens,
Aye.
Rob Maxwell,
Yes.
Mike Noon,
Yes.
Mike Byerly,
Yes,
Susan Mallowin,
Yes.
and I, Marge Bedoy. And that's all I have.
Wait, 1 minute.
Okay.
But don't forget the plant sale, Marge.
Oh, the green team is having a plant sale Saturday, June 5th. And it's
10
at
to
the, 10 to 2 at the,
Where they sell the
Pavilion.
Christmas trees, the lions.
the pavilion behind the Lions Hall. And it's to raise money for the butterfly garden that we planted the seeds over the weekend. We just don't have any water, so who knows how that's gonna work. But we're trying.
well, maybe you could send all the dogs over there.
To pee on it.
Too much nitrogen.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think, when they plant the pumpkins, I don't see them watering the seeds of the pumpkins. So how do they grow?
Hmm,
But
I
this
guess
is,
I'll make my motion.
we're ready.
All right, I'll make the motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it, Mike.
Thank you. All in favor, Jean Harrington,
Certainly.
Bob Levens, or Deb Levens,
Deb, you're muted.
oh, okay, Bob Maxwell,
Aye.
Mike Noon,
Aye.
Mike Byerly,
Assuredly.
Susan Mallowin,
Yes.
and I, Marge Bedoy.
Oh, well.
Lovely evening and a happy Memorial Day.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
all.
Bye-bye.
Josh,
All right.